With the selection of a jury in the Sean Diddy Combs case almost complete, prosecutors are preparing for opening arguments on Monday. But they admit there's a snag. One of their key witnesses against the rapper appears to have gone missing. This comes as we learn that Combs' ex-girlfriend, who was seen on video being assaulted by the rapper, is pregnant.
Diddy's trial hasn't even started yet, but things are already taking a chaotic turn. One of the key witnesses, referred to as Victim 3, has suddenly disappeared. Prosecutors have been unable to locate her or make any contact, which poses a serious issue. With such an important witness missing, the strength of the case could be significantly weakened.
Sean Diddy Combs' trial backing out? Victim number 3, as she's called, was set to testify against the music mogul. The name of victim number 3 was going to be revealed when she took the stand, but the woman has apparently gone missing, and prosecutors say they've been unable to reach her.
People just get nervous, and this person could just be nervous and just has had second thoughts.
If the prosecutor can't find this witness, how might it affect the case?
Look, I don't think it's going to have a tremendous effect. The prosecution is going to call a number of alleged victims. So look, this is just one less.
Someone else is also getting cold feet. A juror sent an email to the judge asking to be removed from the panel for issues of personal well-being.
A lawyer following the case explained that losing a key witness like this makes things much harder for prosecutors trying to prove Diddy's guilt. He pointed out that in high-profile cases like this, some people just don't want to be involved anymore. Still, he believes the prosecution may find a way to move forward, especially if they're not relying solely on her testimony. Another lawyer added that when a witness disappears, it puts significant pressure on the trial. Even though there are numerous lawsuits and claims, only a few victims are actually willing to testify, which could seriously affect the strength of the case. Meanwhile, a former FBI agent told News Nation that witnesses in this kind of trial are likely to receive protection as proceedings continue.
These testimonies are going to be extremely important. Building a case against someone as high profile as Diddy is not an easy job. So I'm going to bring in former FBI agent Bobby Chacon to talk more about this. So off the bat, Bobby, how do you build a case against a celebrity as well-resourced and powerful as Diddy?
Well, it takes a lot, Sylvia, as you know, because the allegations in this case range from like 2004 to 2024. So this is going to be going on for 20 years, and they're finally getting around to charging him now and trying now. That's because it's so difficult to get people who are not afraid to come forward. This person was powerful. They were rich. They had a lot of influence. They were allegedly violent. So all of those things add up to making it very difficult for investigators to get people to talk to them about these. You add in the fact that many of these things are embarrassing. They're of a sexual nature. They're private. They take place behind closed doors. And that adds to the reticence of witnesses coming forward and talking about these things. And so investigators have to do a lot of long, hard work in getting these witnesses to trust them, number one, to make sure they feel like they are being treated, not as a pawn in a game to get Diddy, but as people that really care, that the prosecution cares about these people. And so you bring in victim witness people who are trained really and have the background in talking to people who are maybe victims of alleged sexual violence. And so you bring in specialists that kind of can talk to people like that and get them to open up about these things and to trust the investigators and trust the prosecutors, that they're just not going to be thrust into a situation. You have to get them to trust you so that if someone does make a threat, even if it's veiled, people can do that on social media now. They can say things that are kind of a little bit wonky sometimes, or these veiled threats. So if the witnesses that you're developing are comfortable enough with you, they will bring those threats to you, or those situations where they might feel threatened. You always have on the federal level, we have the witness protection program, right, which is one run by the U.S. Marshal Service. That's kind of a very extreme step, because that's somebody you change their identity, you move them to another part of the country, they're not allowed any contact with previous people in their lives. So it's the witness protection program is one of the more extreme steps that you take. But there are other steps you can take to ensure the witness that they're not going to be subject to that. If anyone does make a statement that's even considered something like that, you send a team to go out and investigate and to question that person and to get them to maybe make a retraction or to kind of back off a little bit. So you do have to do a good job at making sure the witnesses are comfortable that if anything should happen that they feel uncomfortable about, they bring it to you, and then you have to address it in the ways that are available.
Diddy is facing some extremely serious charges. According to the government, he allegedly ran a criminal enterprise through his companies, including Bad Boy Entertainment. Prosecutors claim he used threats, firearms, and various forms of abuse, emotional, physical, and sexual, to control people and get what he wanted. The original indictment also warned that Diddy might try to retaliate against anyone who testified against him. In fact, prosecutors now allege that he's been trying to intimidate witnesses even while behind bars.
Well, I mean, on the surface, if the prosecutor's claims are true, this seems like pretty much textbook witness tampering, right? I mean, it appears to be an effort to either, in some cases, intimidate witnesses from testifying against him, or there have been other reports of sort of inducing people to make statements in his defense. There was some allegation that in one instance this was a statement that he, in essence, dictated or drafted with a woman who made a statement that was attempting to rebut one of the accusers, I believe, in a civil case against him. I mean, witness tampering is bad. The things that Sean Combs is accused of are terrible. He pleads his innocence. The justice system will presumably work its way through.
It is likely that there is some underlying truth to at least some of the allegations. There might be a lot of underlying truth to a lot of the allegations. There's probably some bandwagoning going on. We spoke to an attorney who's for one of the alleged victims of Diddy a few weeks ago. I believe Amber Nomiki and I did, and they said they had calls, they had information, they had people, hundreds of them, come forward. They're not going to represent all of them. They're, which ones have evidence that can be compelling. What are the best cases to bring that? I also saw a story in the New York Post. This is from a week ago, about Diddy stuff that I wanted to read the headline of. Woman claims she saw minors dressed as Harajuku Barbies at Sean Diddy Combs' freak-off parties, what he was describing there to Conan so many years ago. Said these were sex-fueled parties with what she initially thought were little people dressed as Japanese Barbies. And she said, this is her talking to TMZ, are those midgets? And she actually thinks they were kids dressed up in sexy.
Oh, gross.
So again, that's just from someone who provided this information to TMZ for a documentary, but pretty disgusting.
It is. No, that's.
Diddy is facing serious charges, including additional racketeering and transporting individuals for prostitution. If convicted, he could be looking at a minimum of 15 years behind bars, or even a life sentence. Despite the accusations, Diddy maintains his innocence. Even before opening statements began, the trial ran into delays during jury selection. Some potential jurors expressed hesitation about being involved in such a high-profile and emotionally intense case. The judge emphasized that the court is proceeding with caution to ensure everything runs smoothly. Interestingly, Johnny Depp's lawyer, Ben Chu, shared some thoughts on the type of jurors Diddy's legal team might be hoping to have on their side.
I think you want somebody who wants to serve, someone eager to serve, because that suggests that person might be inclined toward a celebrity like Diddy. I would also, in this case, I would want men, not because men support abuse, but I could see this being very difficult for women jurors. I would want younger jurors as well. I don't know that older jurors would be good for him.
Do you care where they get their news? Do you care if they go on social media?
I wouldn't care so much about social media. Certainly watching you on Law and Crime would be a real problem. But no, I wouldn't care too much. I mean, in fact, if they were reading the celebrity media, TMZ, Rolling Stone, that might be an encouraging thing for Diddy's counsel.
Now, Ben, according to the court today, they expect preemptory challenges on.
Meanwhile, Diddy's defense team is reportedly planning to argue that some of his past relationships weren't entirely one-sided. They intend to claim that in certain cases, both parties contributed to the conflicts. However, legal experts warn that this is a risky strategy. Just because a relationship had issues on both sides doesn't erase the serious allegations Diddy is facing. What truly matters, they say, is the power dynamic. Diddy used his fame, wealth, or influence to control others. That's still deeply problematic. And for those who couldn't be controlled, the consequences could be severe, as seen in the disturbing case of Aubrey O'Day.
I wasn't willing to do what was expected of me. Not talent-wise, but in other areas. It's difficult when you're that young to understand your worth as a woman through the men that I was around, and that was very traumatic. I don't think any of us have healed from that. Diddy would be like, you're not hot anymore, like what happened? You don't have anything, like you don't have any curves. You're looking like you're not looking like, I can't get people to think that you're my good-looking person. And there was no Me Too at that time. There was no protecting anyone at that time. You signed a million NDAs and a million contracts that took away all your rights.
Gone Deal later came forward with shocking claims about what Diddy allegedly planned for her musical group. According to her, he intended to exploit them in deeply disturbing ways, essentially trying to pimp them out.
And I know you ain't signed it. I know you ain't signed an NDA, clearly. But did Diddy make his artists sign NDAs and people that work for him?
Well, a lot of these rappers, a lot of these industry people, anybody who does business nowadays with the internet, they have NDAs, non-disclosure. That means that if you work for them, you around them, you can't disclose any of the information about them. It's the same thing that he gave to all his artists when he gave them their publishing back. I'm gonna give y'all publishing, but y'all can't talk about Janice Combs, Justin Combs, Sony, Bad Boy, or anything that happened. Y'all can't talk about none of that. But there's some artists that didn't say anything, that didn't sign it, and they able to talk about anything they want to. And I think that's those girls that was, I think Danny Kane. I think a couple of them didn't sign it. And boy, oh boy, they probably gonna go after him too. Cause I heard him, and I'm giving you this, Aubrey. He stood up there and he said in front of a lot of people, we were in the studio, and I said something to him and walked out the studio. He said, yo, I'm gonna drug their ass off and pick them out and pimp them out to my nigga. He said, I'm gonna drug them out. I'm gonna get them all on drugs, and I'm gonna pimp their ass out to my nigga. And I was like, them somebody kids, and walked out. And it's somebody that heard me. It's somebody that heard me. I mean, well, it's not only somebody that heard me, it's somebody that I know who was in the studio at the time that happened, and I still talk to him today. And we were just talking about that the other day. He done moved back to Indiana. I don't know why. I'm gonna give you that one. He said he was gonna drug them all out and pimp them out.
Jurors typically don't respond well when the defense tries to paint the victim as equally to blame. Strategies like that often backfire. Part of Diddy's defense may involve trying to downplay a video showing him in a physical altercation with his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, in a hotel. His legal team might argue it was simply a private argument between a couple, not evidence of a larger criminal pattern. Cassie, who is currently pregnant, is expected to testify under her real name, unlike most other victims who are remaining anonymous. Legal experts suggest that her pregnancy could make her more sympathetic in the eyes of the jury. Plus, given her smaller physical stature, it may be harder for Diddy's defense to convince jurors that she shared equal responsibility in any violent encounters. As for Diddy, he continues to plead not guilty and denies all allegations. What's especially notable is that, according to Gone Deal, he has rejected all plea deal offers so far, choosing to fight the case in full.
Is that he need to take his counsel advice. Because if he think he's gonna get out of this from the federal government, he out his mind. They in the process of plea bargaining, trying to do a plea bargain session with him, and he not taking it. That's probably why one of the lawyers jumped off the case. Remember Benjamin Bradford, his first lawyer with the Cassie situation? He said, give her the 10 million and make this go away, brother. He ended up giving her 30 million. He's not taking the lawyer's advice. 9 times out of 10, they probably got him a good plea bargain. Yo, listen to me, we can give you 15 years. 10 or 15 years. You do that, you come out, you only have to do like 12, 13. Come out to a halfway house. You still could live some of your life out as a free man. He don't want to hear it. So it is what it is. The federal government do not want to go to court. 9 times out of 10, they want a plea bargain with you. You understand? You accept the plea, you accept the time, you go ahead, you save the government money, you save them time and effort and manpower. If you don't believe that that white guy was a plant, then something is wrong with you. He done sold them enough drugs, but they haven't hit him with that charge. They haven't did him with that charge yet, or that we know of. If you don't believe that they're gonna try to hit him with those guns in there, they saving all that for last. The drugs, the guns. They'll do another superseding indictment and add those two up if he don't take the plea. If he don't take the plea bargain to the sex trafficking or whatever, stuff like that, they're gonna say, okay, let's add the guns to it and let's add the drugs to it.
How you feel about Keefe D? He out here crying to come home, man.
Keefe D, I think is a mistravesty of justice that Keefe D is still in jail without a bail, or they're not making his bail low enough for him to go home. For the fact of the matter is that Keefe D was told to say something by an LAPD officer who was writing a book, doing a movie, and making himself rich off of an event that happened in our culture. And that he's in jail because the cops said a lot of these things first.